Senate Bill SB 1069. Short title, Permanent Early Voting List Eligibility. This is a bill introduced by Senator Ugenti Rita, and it will be in the discussed in the Senate Government Committee on Wednesday. And essentially, this is one of many bills that we're going to be seeing throughout the session, many bills that deal with election integrity and voter fraud and that sort of thing. One particular area in which ballots are vulnerable to mischief happens to be a situation where ballot goes to an address, it goes to a person, and that person is no longer interested, or they don't want to vote, or whatever. There is a ballot out there floating that somebody could pick up and possibly do some mischief with it. So what this bill does, it attempts to minimize that to a certain extent by stating that if the person does not vote that ballot 2 years in a row, then that person will be removed from the early ballot distribution. This does not mean that that person would not be eligible to vote. I'm sure that the opponents of this bill would try to mislead people into saying, well, this is going to suppress the vote, you know, and that sort of thing, as they usually do. But this does not suppress anything. All it says is that 2 years in a row for your primary election and your general election, you did not send in your vote. So why are you still getting an early ballot if you're not using it? Okay? And it makes a perfectly good sense, and it's a bill that I wholeheartedly support. And it does not suppress the vote because it does not in any way affect the ability of or the eligibility of a person. If he is otherwise eligible to vote, they can still vote. They just cannot do it with the early ballot because they did not use it for 2 years in a row. Makes sense?
It does, yes.
So,
but I think it goes a little bit too far, and that is that it requires who's ever in charge of the election after that second year that you didn't vote in the primary and the general. Understand that it's the primary and
right,
the general.
Yeah, both.
So if you voted in the primary but didn't vote into the general election, this doesn't apply. No. But it says if you miss both of those for 2 consecutive times, then, well, not years, it would be, the general election, 2 consecutive.
Exactly, 2 cycle sessions.
Yeah, right. Election sections, yes. Then the person in charge of the election will send you a letter and saying, we notice you didn't vote. Do you still want to be part of the, on the early voting list? And I think that's a waste of time. If they didn't vote in 2 elections, they should just simply be removed and notified you've been removed, and you can still go to the your voting place and vote in person, but you can't vote by early voting list. You're removed until such time as you file, and don't give them the option. Just remove them.
Well, and I agree with that, actually. The point, though, is that since we are going to be getting the objection that this is voter suppression, they're going the extra mile to make sure that that is not a viable objection to the bill. It is a waste of time. You should just remove them and that's it. But anyway, in general, even with your objection, I think that you'll agree that this is
it's a good bill. Yeah.
This is a good bill.
It's a good bill.
And again, people who are so inclined, and I hope a lot of you are so inclined, but people who are so inclined should contact the Senate, the members of the Senate Government Committee, and express their opinion that this bill be approved.